Some states get more love than others. The Census Bureau recently announced the results of the 2020 census, and right now there are a few trendy places where people are moving in droves, and there are some places that are rapidly losing residents. In this video, we're taking a look at the 10 states with the slowest growth rate over the last decade. Number 10, Louisiana. The Pelican State isn't for everyone. It's really a mixed bag. They have New Orleans for one thing, so the state can claim credit for having its own cuisine, culture, and music. They also have so many festivals to entertain its people that it's sometimes called the festival capital of America. The residents also enjoy a low cost of living, which includes a lower cost for education. But on the other hand, the residents have to deal with limited job opportunities, poor healthcare, low quality education, and natural disasters. That's probably part of why Louisiana only gained 124,385 residents, which was a 2.7% population increase. Number 9, Maine. Maine is one of those states that has so much going for it but often gets overlooked. The Pine Tree State has 3,478 miles of coastline, which makes it the fourth largest coastline in the United States, so there are plenty of aquatic activities including exploring the plethora of lighthouses that abound. Thanks to the ocean, they also have a reputation for the best seafood if that's your kind of thing. For nature lovers and outdoorsy folks, Acadia National Park is located in Maine, as is part of the Appalachian Mountains. It's also one of the safest states in the country. But the drawback to living in Maine, and a prominent reason for why they only gained 33,998 new residents for a population increase of 2.6%, is that most people don't like really cold, long winters. After you deal with the snow and ice in winter, mud season hits and not everyone can deal with it. Number 8, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania had a modest 2.4% population growth, which doesn't sound like much, but when you realize that the Keystone State is now the 5th largest state in the country, or Commonwealth as they like to point out, it actually amounts to a gain of 300,321 residents. The census data found that in most states, people are moving out of the more rural areas and into the cities. In Pennsylvania, however, Pittsburgh lost a hair under 3,000 residents, while Philadelphia gained about 70,000. It's possible that people who might have moved to Pennsylvania were deterred by a list of worst states to live in from World Population Review that ranked the state as the 10th worst. People who hate paying taxes probably wouldn't want to move to Pennsylvania either, because in addition to state and federal taxes, employers withhold a local income tax and local services tax. Number 7, Wyoming. Wyoming has the smallest population out of all of the states, with only 576,851 residents. That's up 2.3% from the 563,626 residents that they had in 2010, for a gain of 13,225. If wide open spaces are your thing, Wyoming makes perfect sense. They also have low taxes, which can be appealing. The problem with Wyoming is the winter. It can last 5 months, during which there might be 5 hours of daylight, and snowfall can be between 60 and 200 inches. Temperatures in January average between 0 and 18 degrees, so it takes a hardy person to live there for an extended period of time, but in exchange, they get mild summers. The average temperature in July is 81 degrees. After the scorching summer that we're currently having, Wyoming doesn't sound so bad. Number 6, Ohio. Ohio's population increased 2.3% over the last decade, which amounted to 262,944 new residents. They have 3 fairly large cities, with one of them, Columbus, accounting for almost half of the state's growth. As far as cities go, Columbus has a low cost of living, which is part of what draws people there, both from other parts of Ohio and from other states. They have jobs too, however, the median household income is below both the state and national averages, and they have a high poverty rate at 21%, so those jobs that they have aren't paying as well as they should. The rest of the new residents who have moved to Ohio in the last decade appear to be settling into the smaller cities and towns throughout the state, because Cincinnati only gained 12,000 or so residents, and Cleveland lost 24,000 people. Number 5, Michigan. Michigan's rate of growth over the previous 10 years was only 2%, for a gain of 193,691 residents. The state has had issues with retaining jobs for the last few years, and it was exacerbated during the pandemic. In January, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics had Michigan as having the 11th highest unemployment rate. Most people aren't independently wealthy, so they need to have job opportunities wherever they live. On top of that, long cold winters aren't for everyone, so Michigan isn't seeing much of an influx. According to a website called Bridge Michigan, which bills itself as a nonprofit news source about the state, there is an issue with brain drain, meaning that the people leaving tend to be younger and more educated. They also cite a lower birth rate and immigration rate than other states that contribute to the slow growth. Number 4, Connecticut. Connecticut has some beautiful landscapes, a top-notch educational system, and a ton of historical sites and museums, but they also have a high cost of living that keeps people from moving there. A big part of that is the housing costs. Connecticut has the second highest number of multi-million-dollar homes after California. The average person can't afford that, so they move to more reasonably priced areas. Several large companies have recently left the state, so the job market has been impacted, which doesn't help the situation. Connecticut also has an aging population. People over the age of 65 have been leaving for warmer climates because Connecticut has cold, snowy winters. As with several other New England states, Connecticut also has a traffic problem that might cause some people enough of a headache that they decide to move away from the area. All of those reasons add up to Connecticut only growing by 0.9% during the last decade. That's a gain of 31,847 residents. Number 3, Illinois. Oh, Illinois, my home state. I guess you could say that I have a love-to-hate relationship with the land of Lincoln. It's pretty much the theme of this channel. My family settled in the middle of the state something like 7 or 8 generations ago, and for whatever reason, we're still here. Familial obligations keep a lot of people anchored. Not all, though. Illinois has been steadily losing people for quite some time now. The most recent census data shows a population loss of 0.1% from 2010 to 2020. That's 18,124 people who left, which actually isn't that bad. Previous projections had shown that they were expecting it to be somewhere around 169,000 people. So why are people leaving? There are a bunch of reasons. I covered that in a separate video, so I'll link that in the description, but some of the highlights include high real estate taxes, bad weather, and a lack of good job opportunities in some parts of the state. Number 2, Mississippi. People aren't moving to Mississippi, and some people who are from there are moving away. Mississippi has some pretty big issues. They deal with hurricanes and flooding. They have a high poverty rate, with close to 1 out of every 5 residents living below the poverty line. The state comes in dead last in healthcare. Another issue they have is racism. There are some school districts that still hold separate whites-only proms because they have somehow stayed firmly rooted in the mid-1900s. Acceptance isn't exactly their strong suit. That extends to anyone who can be considered different, whether that's by religion, politics, or sexual orientation. Mississippi does have a low cost of living, which includes a lower than average cost for a college education, but most people don't take advantage of it. Only 22% of the adults over the age of 25 in Mississippi have earned a bachelor's degree, which is well below the US rate of 32.1%. When surveyed about what they like about the state, most residents respond with the food. However, their cuisine is making them unhealthy. Mississippi is the fattest state in the nation, with 40.8% of the adult residents considered obese. All of these things add up to a population loss of 0.2%, which amounts to 6,018 residents. And number 1, West Virginia. West Virginia, with its mountains, rivers, and parks, has a lot of natural beauty. Just about any type of outdoor activity you can imagine can be found in the mountain state. It's conveniently bordered by several different states, so there are places nearby to visit. But remember all those things I just said about Mississippi? West Virginia has most of those same problems. They come in 2nd place for obesity, 45th in education, 47th in healthcare, and 5th in poverty. 16% of the residents live below the poverty line because the median household income is about $15,000 lower than the national average at only $46,711. West Virginia has drug and crime issues that might deter some people from living there. There's also a higher than average rate of car accidents due to both negligent drivers and the twists and turns that come from having roadways carved out of mountains. During the last decade, West Virginia lost 3.2% of their population. That's 59,278 residents lost. On the plus side though, if someone can deal with all of the cons to living in West Virginia, there is a low cost of living, which includes low housing costs. If you live in the northern panhandle around the Wheeling and Weirton areas, you can work in either Ohio or Pennsylvania. If you pick the eastern panhandle, you could choose to be close to Maryland, Virginia, or Pennsylvania. I've been told that that part of the state is actually really nice. If you absolutely had to choose one of these states to live in, which would you pick? I would probably go with Maine because it's safe and quiet. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button so more people will find it. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, I remain stuck in the current field.